Okay, we're back, everybody. I didn't actually need to stop the stream because I figured it out the moment, but I figured out what was going on the moment I closed. It's fine. We're fine. We're all fine here. How are you?
How are you?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for bearing with us through the John poisons his captions while Lucas aggressively troubleshoots.
I fully was not listening to anything that John was saying, so like, I there could have been some horrendous shit being said, and I wouldn't have known.
I was really going for the energy that they brought to, I think, the first or second episode of EXU Calamity when they came back from break and Brennan looked straight at the camera and said, "Sam just said taint," and then went right into the
We're bringing the chaos. I love it. Okay. Anyway, hi everybody. Wait, let me back up. As I was saying,
Hello.
hello everyone, and welcome to Ramblemancy. I don't know why I said it like that. We're here tonight with just a classic free-range ramble. We're just chatting, just hanging out. Thank you, first of all, to everybody who showed up to Freeman's and my Fallout 76 stream on Tuesday. It was a lot of fun. If you want to go back and watch the it should still be up on our past broadcasts. It was a lot of fun playing, and we have plans in the future. So be on the lookout for that.
It was a blast watching you guys, and also watching you go to Deathclaw Island, where there were totally no Deathclaws.
No, definitely no Deathclaws were there. Not at all. They're like no,
Nope.
absolutely not.
I don't remember any.
Yeah, I've never even seen. What's a Deathclaw? I've never even seen one of those.
Yeah, I know.
Certainly haven't been just absolutely taken out by one while I was trying to run away.
I was
fine.
fairly certain. I was doing something on my other monitor and glancing back, and I was fairly certain that it just clean took your head off at one point, and I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's what's
There
happening
you go.
here."
That's right, Chance. It's a heavy metal band, and you're right, Ike. The name is in fact metaphorical. It's like it's just to evoke the idea of a Deathclaw, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's true,
Death,
'cause-
think of death as a kind of form of change or rebirth. It's a very philosophical kind of name.
It's like a lot of people die there for absolutely no reason, and so they just they say it's death as if there were a Deathclaw there.
Yeah,
you know exactly, but no, they anyway. Okay, hello everybody. We're off to a start.
Anyway, it's a fun game. I look forward to playing it more. I hope everyone else does. It looks forward to seeing it too. So let's do it. Do some more of it.
Clearly.
So angry.
Not joking about the archery thing.
What happened, John?
Sorry, Nico said Deathclaw is the grip you need to drink from the Rock Climber cup, because Nico sent me a picture of a coffee mug earlier today that instead of having like a normal handle like this, has like a fucking one finger crimp for bouldering. And that's how you pick it up. And I was like, that I'm so upset. I'm so upset.
Nope.
Well, you can think of it. It exists. It's awesome. But I don't want one.
Also, hold on. Y'all keep talking. Hey, John, what do you got for us today?
Yeah.
A mug, it's a weapon.
Anyway, to finish our beginning of stream stuff, announcements. We'll be here for Ramblemancy next week, and perhaps for video games next week. I think so. Perhaps we'll see. Keep an eye on our announcements, usually on Sunday afternoons, and you'll know more. And also, I haven't said hi to everybody yet, but Hassan, hello. I saw Chans, you stopped in, and I saw Angel Siddle, Josh, hello, Ike, Amethyst, Freeman, hey, you're in chat, and also here.
Hello, hi, I know.
So many
He's a
places
cryptid. He's in two places at once. It's just yeah.
I refuse to acknowledge Nico for reminding me that horrible cup exists.
Yeah.
Love you. But yeah. No, I think that's. I do believe that's everyone's.
And if there are any lurkers out there, we love you too.
Absolutely.
I myself am a lurker, so
yeah.
John, meet Bus. Yep. The weekly bit where we throw me under the bus.
Absolutely.
I didn't have I spent a lot of today running around, and so I hadn't thought very much or very intensely about a topic, but just something that I have been thinking a lot about this week, um, is like game difficulty,
Okay,
um,
interesting.
which is something that we've talked about before because I have played a lot of my favorite action RPGs recently. And so like Path of Exile is, one of the most notoriously complicated, difficult, like grindy action, like isometric action RPGs out there. It's ridiculously, complex. It's like if somebody looked at Magic the Gathering and said, "What if I made a skill tree out of that and then made it more complicated?" And then added another system that was just about as complicated.
You're
On
really
top of
selling
that,
this, actually. I think you're really selling this to me.
yes. So anyway, Path of Exile, very notoriously kind of like arcane game with lots of like fiddly little bits, which is perfect if that's the kind of thing you like to manage. And absolutely like nails on a chalkboard if micromanaging a million little things to get all of your little DPS increases in there is not your bag. And then on the other hand, like I've been playing another game called Last Epic, which is like kind of a happy medium, I think, of a lot of things, where it's got like a fairly interesting but mostly straightforward crafting system, and you can kind of just hop in and play it. Like there's a lot of cool little quality of life features, like it auto picks up gold and crafting materials for you. You can put those into an infinite storage hole with the click of a button. And then anytime you want to craft a new item that you find, you pick it up, you put it in the slot, click a few buttons, and either the item bricks or you have something cool new to wear. And then I also played the Diablo 4 beta, which very
Cool.
much was like, I've never actually, in spite of having played a lot of action RPGs, I've never played a Diablo game before.
That is odd,
And
seeing as how like isn't Pillars of Path of Exile based on like
based
yeah,
on Diablo 2.
that's what I
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah, I missed the boat on Diablo 2, and then Path of Exile was in like open beta, and a friend got me into it, and then Diablo 3 came out, and I was like, well, I'm already playing Path of Exile, and it's free, and I can pay for Diablo 3, so I just played Path of Exile. And I don't know, it's been interesting seeing like the different approaches that each of these games from the same genre have. Like I know that there are like diehard Path of Exile players who are really disappointed by Diablo 4 and the fact that like, and this is my experience in the beta, is that you can pretty much just like click a few buttons, have no idea what you're doing, log in and smash monsters.
See,
And it's
that's what I love. I love
yeah,
just head empty smash monsters, you know?
head empty, hammer wet. That's pretty much the character I played. I was like, look at all these magic classes. I could try and figure out like what spell do I want to use and how do I optimize. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Give me big lady with big stick. I'm gonna hit things till they die.
Exactly.
And that's what I did.
Gotcha.
And I can definitely see like potential for a lot of like fiddly little bits in there where you can be like, oh well, I want to switch over to this now because I found a better weapon or found a cool piece of armor or a legendary item that gives bonuses to this skill instead. And then again, just with a few clicks, I can switch over to that. And that was my experience playing Diablo 4. And so it was interesting to see people like, oh no, that means the game's awful. Like there's no build customization. But I'm like, different. I think it's just interesting because I think a lot of people who play like very hard games like that kind of forget how much about a game they have learned. They're like, oh well, that's too easy. When the reality is like the average person who picks this up is going to have a difficult enough time remembering to open their skill tree and put their points in.
So it's interesting that you said it because like I'm having two separate thoughts, but like I'll go with the most relevant one first, which is that like it's interesting that you say that, right? Because as I've mentioned before, recently I've gotten back into Pathfinder Kingmaker, and I started playing Wrath of the Righteous. And the interesting thing is, Wrath of the Righteous, unlike Kingmaker, makes a special point to explain the rules of Pathfinder, whereas Kingmaker just doesn't. And like there have been many times where like I picked it up because like I played a lot of Pathfinder 1E, but I didn't think about it until this most recent playthrough. I'm like, how would somebody who doesn't know anything about Pathfinder do this? And then I realized I actually have had that experience because Pillars of Eternity, made by the same studio, I think, made by a lot of the same developer, something. I had that problem, right? Because I had the problem that it was built on their own like engine or their own system, their own RPG system, and I could not parse it. I just couldn't parse it, and so that's one of the reasons that I didn't get into Pillars of Eternity. But I did get into Pathfinder Kingmaker. So like, but it was really interesting because then playing Wrath of the Righteous, I'm getting all these like tutorial messages popping up, going like, okay, so let me break down how this works, and it's so interesting because I guess at some point they must, because I think Kingmaker was first, and then Wrath of the Righteous came out. So I guess at some point they must have gotten complaints or something like that, because it's true though. It's true. Like but me, I found the tutorials annoying because they just kept popping up, and I already knew how all that worked because I played Kingmaker right before that. So, but yeah, you're right. There is a certain amount of like forgetting how much that you have learned, and unless there's that kind of like tutorial thing that gets like thrown into your face, it's really like unclear sometimes, hard to notice how much like this game isn't easier necessarily because it's just not as complex of a game, but it's easier because you've already done the hard part. You've already done the hard mode, you know?
Yeah, if you've played even a couple hundred hours of Path of Exile, which I think most people who play that game like with any kind of regularity would think is a very small amount, but is a lot. Um, you know, if you've played a couple hundred hours of Path of Exile, you'll have no problem picking up Diablo 4 and figuring out what's going on.
Yeah.
But somebody who's never played that before and their friend goes, "Hey, do you want to play Diablo with me when it comes out?" That's a whole different like ballpark, or like yeah, it's a whole different experience. I feel like, because there's a lot of moving pieces to games like that. And I think like my kind of takeaway was, it's okay for there to be versions of game, like it's okay for there to be like versions of games within genres like that where they are kind of simple and easy to pick up. Like if you want the experience of like that really fiddly spreadsheet manipulator simulator, then like, go play Path of Exile, and undoubtedly Path of Exile 2 when it comes out. But if you just want to like come home, log in after work, and smash demons for a couple of hours, Diablo's right there.
I mean, who doesn't want to smash demons?
Exactly. I'm sorry, we have Ike in chat too, and I feel that's a perfect joke to make right now.
We kept saying it, and I was like, somebody's gotta make the joke at some point.
But yeah, no, Ike actually did say something to this effect. Like, he said, "I remember seeing a portion of a TED Talk or something about how video games are the only form of entertainment with a skill requirement to consume the entire thing. It's curious." Not the only, but because you need to be able to read to consume a novel, but still, like that kind of idea. There's like a higher skill floor.
Newly Human, I appreciate you.
And I did just get here, and I feel weirdly summoned. Summoned in what way? Because we are talking about like demons and devils here.
True.
True. Sorry, I'm. My brain is going through a whole bunch of different things. John, could you repeat the point that you just made about like the skills and like that?
Yeah, I think just kind of what I've arrived at, having played all three of those games recently, is that like the end result of any of one of those games is that you log in and you smash monsters. But like for Diablo, for instance, it's pretty straightforward how you do it. And like I think it's okay and good that there are several different iterations of that, one of which is very accessible.
Right.
Like even for somebody who hasn't played a lot of action RPGs like that, if they wanted to log in and play, I don't think it would be too difficult, because there's not a lot of things, and the game does a lot of stuff automatically for you, like picking up some of the loot for you, and like gold just right into your inventory when you walk over it. And like there's not very many passives, and it takes you right into those menus, like, okay, and here's these glowing passives. You can choose the hammer smash, or you can choose the axes, whereas Path of Exile is like, here's this giant spider web with 6,000 passive points on it, have fun.
As somebody with ADHD, Path of Exile, I looked at it and I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what's happening. Look, and like, we talked about last time, actually. Like, I love the weird little like micromanagey kind of aspects of some games, but it has to be in a way where like I find that that's only true if I understand the impact that I am making by making certain choices. Because if I don't understand the thing, like if I don't understand like the weird little noodly changes I'm making to a character or something, then I don't care, and I'm gonna bounce off of whatever it is. Like one of my several issues with World of Warcraft, on the character side of things, is like, yes, you can equip this weapon, which the DPS is 23.7, and you're just like, I don't know what that does because I don't understand the system, because the system is all like hidden like behind the scenes, basically. Like, essentially there are like there's like die rolling, I guess technically, happening in the background. There's RNG happening behind the scenes that you, the player, don't get to see, and you just get to see like these weird little like numerical increases that are not nice numbers, not easy to track. My brain kind of skips off of them, and eventually I just don't care, and I just do whatever I think seems interesting.
Yeah, sometimes I'm like a tiny bit irritated at Destiny 2 for not showing me like the actual damage numbers when it says like this perk, like the longer you shoot at a target with this gun, the more damage you do. I'm like, I kind of wish I knew how much damage that was, and I was like, never mind, I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't need to see the numbers.
Well,
That's okay.
yeah, and then that's it. Like, I don't need to see the numbers to enjoy the game, but if like the game is forcing me to be micromanagey with like the like the character and their abilities and things like that, I want to understand what I'm micromanaging. Like,
Hmm.
I don't
Yeah.
I don't always need, like, no part of a open world survival crafting game is as micromanagey as like Path of Exile or Pathfinder. No part of a but I love those games because you sort of just run around and you break stuff and then you build stuff. That's it. That's the whole game. It's the whole
Hmm.
game. There's like nothing like very cerebral or anything about it. It's like, haha, crafting, go brrr, and that's it. Like, that's the whole game. Um,
Yeah, I hear you.
but like, if the game is forcing me to be like to micromanage things, then I want to understand the system. Otherwise, I fully bounce off of that game, and that was me with Path of Exile.
Hmm. And that's totally understandable, and I think frankly that's the expected result.
Mm-hmm.
Nico said this a few weeks ago, which was that Grinding Gear Games makes Path of Exile for a very, very small, very specific audience, and they make it for those people alone.
Yeah.
um, and again, I think what I have, especially what I've come to the realization of over the last few weeks, is that's okay. Like,
Mm-hmm.
there should be super noodly and complex like things for people who are really into micromanaging all of that stuff and really enjoy spending lots of time in like out of game programs, going through and figuring out and like playing with little tweaking like little gear that like increases to this stat or that stat, and how does this affect how my character plays. And there should also be the one for people who are like, I don't want to bother with any of that. Show me which skills let me smash things with a hammer, and I will click them. Um, and I think it's good to have both.
Yeah, I agree. Especially something that I've seen, and I think I've talked about this before, but something I really appreciate is when a game that is like the whole point of it is to be like hardcore, difficult gameplay, then also has a casual mode. I love that. I love seeing that. Like, I probably wouldn't make use of it myself, mostly because like I wanna feel like the way that it was sort of like what it was designed to do. Even as frustrating as that can sometimes be. But like, I'm glad that it's an option there because I really don't. I don't know. I don't like when I don't like the idea that some people wouldn't be able to enjoy or experience the game just because like they don't. I don't know. They just like don't have the like. Some people don't have the hand-eye coordination. I know for me, one of my biggest issues is like fine motor stuff. Like, I have issues with fine motor things, and so like that kind of like like Twitch fire gameplay kind of shit. Like, I can't do that. I'm not gonna be playing like competitive Call of Duty online because I will just be destroyed all the time.
It would be kind of like, it's not something that Grinding Gear would ever do, but it would be interesting to see them do something like pre-made character builds where, like, it comes with basically just a little thing like, here are the stats you want on your gear. Look for these things and try and craft these things. And then they gave you like a skill tree that was already plotted out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Pathfinder does have like pre-made builds. Like Pathfinder Kingmaker has pre-made builds, so you can just select the next thing and just be like, it'll give you like an optimal build, like a pre-made sort of thing, or you can choose to do like whatever you want and like micromanage it, and you can do that. And like Cam mentioned here, reminds me of Mass Effect's auto level up, so you can let it pick skills. And yes, that's a very good example. And Pathfinder also has something like that, where like you can set it so that you automatically level up, so it like you don't have to manage it at all if you don't want to. You can set it so that only your companions, like the NPCs, level up automatically, or you can set it so that that's all manual. And I think that's a really cool thing. Those are really good examples of like how that works. When I was talking about like the difficulty and like having like a casual mode, the one that I'm thinking about is Ghost Runner. Is that what it's called? Ghost Runner. The one that I was playing, sort of like the like 3D action platformer game. Yeah. Ghost Runner. That is a hard fucking game, and I will tell you, I definitely brute forced my way through a lot of that game because I was not physically skilled enough to like do it the way that it was supposed to be done. But like then a few months later they added like a casual mode, and I think that's very cool. I'm glad that they did that. Because it is honestly a fun game. It's one of those games where like it's really easy to do things wrong, but when you do things right, it feels fucking dope. It feels so cool. But and then like the casual mode, from what I understand, makes it a lot easier to achieve that in certain instances, and I think that's great because that's a lot of the fun of the game. A lot of the meat of the game is just how good it feels. So like,
yeah, that's kind of how racing games are for me personally. Like Need for Speed or Flat Out is a good example, because the controls for Flat Out are so confusing. It's like you use the arrow keys and like the control keys, and it's really noodly in my opinion. But there's like an adrenaline rush when you get it right, when you can drive without crashing every like 5 seconds, and you can go around every corner and go off every ramp just flawlessly.
Yeah,
it is absolutely amazing. But you have to get past the playing racing games on a PC. For me, it's strange.
No, I hear that. I just gotta be honest. Oh, sorry.
I was going to say, like, Metroid Dread's a really cool example in that after the, like, 6-7 months after the release of that, they had, like, the boss rush modes and stuff. But when they did that, they also added, like, an easier, like, a lower difficulty mode to it. They made 2 modes. Dread mode, which is any damage you take at all kills you instantly. Which, naturally, I immediately did that.
Of course.
And then the other one was a mode where enemies drop, like, double health and ammunition. And like I was really happy to see that, because I was like, oh hell yeah, like that makes the game a lot more accessible to someone who's like, I don't play Metroidvanias, but I would like to experience Metroid Dread.
Okay, sorry, I need to address first of all, I saw that you saw that took you a minute to realize where it was not Pathfinder the TTRPG. Yeah, I mean, it might as well be, because Pathfinder Kingmaker is basically a direct port of the TTRPG to video games, so like it might as well be. But I can understand the confusion. But I'm sorry, you said you heard a hot take not too long ago. Someone in another stream claimed Mario Kart wasn't a racing game.
Wait, what did they say though? Then what was their...
Sorry, I just heard Cole from the other room going, "What?"
We gotta get a lav mic for Cole, and then like
yeah. No.
That's so. What a bizarre take. That's really interesting.
In what way is Mario Kart not a racing game?
It's not. It's a friendship ending game.
Oh.
Damn.
Ooh.
All right.
I mean,
Alright.
Chance is right. It is.
Yeah.
Like Mario Kart is actually just a speed run to ending your friendships.
That's worst speed run ever. Yeah, no, Chance,
Oh, I
you're
just had a
absolutely right.
flashback. Boy.
Whew.
Oh, boy.
They said it was a racing game. It wasn't a racing game because an AI could easily play it, or something like it takes no skill. As someone who literally cannot stay on the track when playing those games, let me tell you, it requires a little bit of skill. A little bit.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that this is a perfect example of what I was talking about at the beginning, where a Path of Exile player looks at Diablo 4 and says, that game's too easy, when in reality they've played 5,000 hours of the most difficult isometric action RPG on the market. And they have no idea how much their baseline... Like, this person has probably played a lot of racing games,
right.
and just has no idea the amount of, like, skills they've built up that are just now ingrained for them.
Yeah.
Sounds like multiplayer Mario is just.
That's true.
It sounds like any multiplayer Mario is just the friendship ender, and kind of yeah.
Yeah, a little bit.
Mario Party is also a good way to theoretically be a friendly level of angry at your friends.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing at Newly
Absolutely.
Human's. I'm laughing at Newly Human's comment because now I just want to see what a Mario themed Soulsborne would look like. I really want to know. I really want to see that now. I would play that. I would play that. Yes.
Okay, which Mario brother is the main character though? That's the question.
I think it's got to be Wario though.
It's got to be Wario, right? Like, there's only one Mario brother.
Oh my god, give it the CW treatment. Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
This video games. Hold on, I gotta look at this. Average familiar. Oh yeah, silicate chemistry is second nature to us geochemists, so it's easy to forget that the average person probably only knows the formulas for olivine and one or two feldspars and quartz, of course. Of course. Even when they're trying to compensate for it, experts in anything wildly overestimate the average person's familiarity with their field. Yeah. Yep.
I agree, Newly Human. Bowser as a Souls boss would probably be dope. Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you look at Bowser, man, I can see it in my head, the dodge rolling constantly to get out of the way of his, like, massive, very well telegraphed, slam attacks or something,
Yep.
I can see it.
I don't know anything about the lore of the Mario world, but the notion of like Wario trying to rescue, like Wario and Princess Peach trying to rescue Mario and Luigi from Bowser, I feel like that's an incredible premise for a Soulsborne game.
I agree. I think that would be
incredible. Get in here, Nintendo. Hire everyone in this chat right now to write for you.
All of us about to be canceled for not knowing anything about the Super Mario world.
I'm pretty sure that's a butchery of all of their characters.
100%. I'm certain of that. I don't know much, but I know enough to know that's probably very true.
I just want an extremely metal, like Peach and Wario, like fucking shit up.
And there has to be like a really, like, you know how on YouTube you'll see all these YouTube composers who do like epic cinematic versions of like all kinds of different tracks. But like that needs to be the soundtrack, but like the actual Mario soundtrack, but like the epic cinematic versions in the background,
Yeah, there's like organ and electric guitar and like really like intense choral vocals.
And just smother everything in synths. I need that. I need them synths.
Yeah, 100%. God, I need this game so bad.
Like if it doesn't have blah, I don't want it.
Daisy is goth.
There's just not a whole lot I can add to this part of the conversation because I don't know much about the universe.
Here's
All
the thing,
I
Freeman.
do know is that Bowser and Mario and Peach are probably in a polyamorous triad with kidnapping and rescue kink thing going on.
What are you talking about that you don't have anything to add to this conversation?
Oh.
That was the only thing added to this conversation.
Oh, my bad. You're right.
All right, you've got plenty of space on the wall back there. I'm gonna go get the corkboard and hand it through the stream to you, and that's what the remainder of Ramblemancy will be about.
Thank
Like,
you.
in this essay, I will.
some tacks. I need some red yarn. Yeah, make a color code. We'll do
We'll
some
make it
red,
happen.
yellows.
We'll make it happen.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Oh. So anyway, Mario Souls like when? That's what I need from you, Nintendo. Toad is some wild and dark looking giant fungus that you talk to get your special abilities. Oh hell yeah.
I'm into that.
Oh, I'm so into that. Yes,
Yeah.
the Soulsborne needs the poly relationship. Bring back that Goomba from the only Mario movie that matters. They're already Soulsborne looking enough.
Good. Yes. No, you're absolutely right, and you should say it.
Wow. See, like this is like anytime people do like realistic illustrations of Pokemon and stuff like that, and they look super horrifying. That's like the same. You could do the same thing to Mario, where like, oh, it's a cute little mushroom guy, but then you draw it like it's a real thing, and you're like, oh god,
this is horrifying. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, you know what? I changed my answer. I know who the Soulsborne Mario protagonist should be. It should be Luigi, and he should be voiced by John Leguizamo, like from the Super Mario Brothers film.
Ooh,
Yeah.
There we go. There we go. This writes itself way more easily than it should. It does, and that's why Nintendo should make it. You cowards.
Come on, do it, you cowards.
Let's go. I'd play it. Nintendo,
Isn't red.
why with a wild pivot from their brand.
They released like a mobile game, kind of like Switch game, like Mario game for the year, and then like the real Mario release is 2 months later. No promo, and it's this.
Yeah. I look. This is we joke, but does it not feel like everyone and their moms is releasing a Soulsborne these days? I'm like, people, there are other game types. There are other types of games.
I think Elden Ring was really popular, and then everyone was like, we should make one of those, and then video game development takes forever. So now we're several years after Elden Ring, and all of those are starting to come out now.
Yeah. And like,
can they get Kojima?
Don't get me wrong, I don't have a problem necessarily with Soulsborne, but like, not every AAA release needs to be a Soulsborne. Like, it's like, what was the last thing that they were doing that with? That they just kept releasing the same type of game over and over. What was that? The last big, like, everybody hopping on the bandwagon thing in video games.
Speaking of Kojima, was it one of his?
It could have been.
I know Death Stranding was one. I don't know if that's Souls-like though. There was
the one where you're a samurai, and you're like parkouring through.
I mean, yeah, that is sort of like a Soulsborne that you're talking about. Is that Sekiro? Is that Sekiro?
Yeah, I think Shadows Die Twice. Or
yeah.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
But that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like what the last big trend was before the Soulsborne rush.
Gotcha.
Oh, I mean, I think Ike's on it. I think it was battle royales mostly. Like
that's what it was. Yes.
Fortnite was huge, and then Apex Legends hit, and then it was like Warzone. Sorry, actually, PUBG kind of came before. It was like PUBG, and then Fortnite exploded.
My favorite,
maybe.
I do miss. It does make me sad that Fortnite overtook PUBG. Not because I particularly care about either one, but I just loved all the various names people came up with for PUBG. My favorite one was Plunkbat because it works. It's Players Unknown Battleground, like Plunkbat. It works.
Yep.
But yeah. Anyway.
And before that, it was the co-op zombie shooter. Yep, because COD Zombies was really fun, and so everybody made COD Zombies. It was wild to me that Battle Royale, because the Battle Royale spawned from Minecraft.
I did once, a long time ago, play on a Minecraft Battle Royale server, and that was actually kind of fun. Like, I did like that. I didn't realize the connection though. That's awesome. I didn't realize that they like came directly from that. Yeah, Hunger Games in Minecraft. That's exactly. I remember doing that. I was real bad at it.
The straight line from the Hunger Games to the Hunger Games in Minecraft to Roblox to PUBG to now everyone's making battle royales.
Yeah.
We've watched a lot of those streams actually of like the chasing each other around on Minecraft.
Yeah. Oh man, I forgot about those.
Yeah. Everyone just kept making Left 4 Dead clones. Left 4 Dead also. Yeah, it is. This is also just kind of a fun thing to do, is to go back through like the eras of like
Mm-hmm.
popular video game trends. It's kind of fun to think about like what led to what led to what led to what.
Yeah. There's also
Mine,
something to be said about like people like different developers just cranking out tons of survival open world survival crafting games, but you won't hear me
Mhm.
complaining about that cuz I love them.
I think there's like a very cute, cozy one coming up that I was kind of interested in.
Which one was it? Cuz I feel like I might have seen it and immediately had the thought John would love this.
Yeah, I can't remember what the name of it is, but I saw somebody else post about it. And I was like, I knew about this one. I knew about this one
Mhm.
because it was
Hmm.
cute.
Yeah. I vaguely remember seeing it, but yeah, I don't
hmm
remember what it is. Um
People making their own game modes in has been a wild history, like the zombies mode in Halo 2 and Griffball, and then like eventually those became just like a core part of the game, like
mhm.
custom games that you could just queue up for through like the main menu.
Oh,
Ah,
anybody remember Half-Life 2 zombies, like the zombie mod for Half-Life
Yes.
2? That
Yes.
was those were so fun. Real janky, but so fun.
mm-hmm. God, the
That was
absolutely just
good.
like stapled together shit that modders would do to get
Yeah.
Hmm.
things to work.
People taking Gmod in the source engine and just like slamming some stuff together, and that was
The good
so
old
fun.
days.
The good old days. Yeah. Ah. See, I feel
And
like
that
that
brings, yeah. Mm-hmm.
we I not to be all like one of those people who just does the like oh things were better back in my day, but like
hmm
but I do feel like there has been a certain amount of, I mean, we have Among Us, which I think is cool, but like the sort of more sort of social type games in that way, like the zombies game, yeah, it was technically like we have a lot of like online arena or match based games and stuff like that, but they're all very pretty much the same kind of thing, like, and often sort of like copy paste of each other, right? Like you've got like Battlefield and you've got, you know, Call of Duty, and you've got the, you know, the shooters, and then you've got the battle royales like we were just talking about, and like those kinds of things, and then you've got things like, then you've got MOBAs, and that's pretty much the main categories of those things. But like back with those the weird stapled together things that people were making with like the source engine and shit like that, like
Hmm.
you had a lot more variety in like gameplay loops. Like the Half-Life 2 zombies was basically just tag. It was basically just germ tag, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and I think part of it is that like it's become like
Oh,
it became commercially viable to do those sorts of things, and
yeah.
so the natural like cycle of, oh, cool, wild, creative thing, oh, can be made, like money can be made off of this, and then it kind of like winds up homogenized eventually to be an appealing product, and then that sort of like kills some of the fun of it.
Chans, that's a good point. Fall Guys was refreshing. That actually is very, that's a great example of the kind of thing I wish there were more of. Not necessarily that specific thing, but like that type of like deviation from like the match based online multiplayer stuff. And that's a good example. I appreciate you bringing that up because I kind of had already forgotten about Fall Guys because I never played it myself, but I have very much enjoyed watching my friends play it. Like,
Oh yeah, that period where Steve and Schaefer were playing it a lot of evenings in
yep,
Discord, I that was a good time. I
I
I
loved
never
it.
played it
Yeah.
myself, but I had so much fun watching
Mm-hmm.
them go through just the absolutely incredible variety of weird shit that you had to do in that game to stay alive.
Wish the auto chess stayed around. That was really fun, but it seems to be fading. I put so many hours into Dota Underlords. Huh. I don't know if I'm. I mean,
Yeah,
like those are things. Everything that you just said was something that I have heard of, but was in no way familiar with. So like
Yeah. Same.
that's yeah.
I know about auto chess.
Okay,
Yeah, like because that's what Teamfight Tactics is.
gotcha.
I don't. There's not. I don't know
Hmm.
how many of those there are. I've seen like a few of them around. Um, like I know. Dota auto chess was kind of, I feel like, what started that trend, and then Riot picked up the formula and did it. And I think there's been a few other like auto battlers and stuff too that I saw. I think Matthew Gravlin I saw was playing a couple of them for like one or two of them for a while. But yeah, like there's not a lot of them, and I do like the auto chess kind of stuff because I used to really like tower defense games, and they scratch that kind of itch for me where it's like, oh yeah, how am I gonna set up my little battlefield here to stop all of the balloons? Um, they just made a Warhammer one. It's like a cheap mobile game of just God, it sucks. Yeah, it's a really interesting format. I like it because like auto chess games and auto battlers like that don't require a lot of like physical micromanagement. So like sometimes I'm in the mood for a game where it's like I want something that doesn't keep my brain very busy, but just kind of keeps my hands busy, and I can just look at pretty lights and do stuff. And then sometimes I want just the opposite. I want something that'll occupy my brain but doesn't require a lot of like mechanical input from me. And auto chess is really good for that. Like it's a fun little brain puzzle.
Cool.
For 20 or 30 minutes, and I wish there were more of them. I just thought auto chess was fun because you could play with friends. It wasn't focused on you having to do a lot and was more strategy, so it was very chill compared to other games, man. That just jumped me with adrenaline. Yeah, Chans and I think are on the same wavelength here. Like they're great for when it's like it's 11 o'clock. I want to play a game, but I want to wind down. So jumping into playing Destiny 2 is a lot. Like I'm gonna wind up like amped up, and I'm not gonna be able to go to sleep on time.
Yeah.
Whereas playing something that just kind of lets me like play a little strategy game and requires just like very static, simple kind of button pushes from me is nice.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see that. There are lots of times when I wish that I had sort of a just where I have just like an awkward amount of time, and I just want like something to just sort of occupy me for a little while before I have to go off and do something else. But like unfortunately, like all the games that I'm into lately are the kind of games that like require a lot of attention investment. So like I find myself basically only playing them when I know I have an abundance of time, um, and like not in just sort of like little spans. And like I'm trying to think of there was a game that I was playing a while back that I was really into. Attention in this economy? Yeah, listen, it's not great. And like that goes double for us ADHD folks. Um, but yeah, like, and like, don't get me wrong, I don't mind like needing to sink a bunch of like be like very like absorbed by the thing that I'm like the game that I'm playing. But sometimes I just want something to like occupy me for a little while, or something that I can like jump in and just sort of like play in a Discord, like while I'm just chatting with people, you know. And unfortunately, many of the games that I've been into lately just require that kind of like total absorption and attention being paid, and yeah, it doesn't lend itself super well. But yeah, same reason I haven't started a lot of my RPG games. Yeah, exactly, exactly. I I started a full Dragon Age playthrough recently, and I got somewhere into the middle of Dragon Age 2 before I was like, I'm like winded. I have the like narrative fatigue. Um,
I love Horizon Zero Dawn, and I want to finish Zero Dawn before Forbidden West comes out on PC. But I feel the same thing with that, where I'm like, this is really cool and really interesting, and I love playing it, but I need like 2 straight hours to be able to play it so that I can accomplish like a satisfying a couple of quests and a satisfying chunk of the narrative. And I also need the
Yeah.
right amount of brain power to be able to like want to seek out the lore because I want to know about this. So I don't want to just like mindlessly like zombie my way through a bunch of quests and then have no idea what happened.
yeah,
It's a really cool game, you know.
yeah.
So yeah, auto battlers are perfect for that. Like for me at least, are perfect for that. Like I have
I
40
think
minutes and I want to do something.
right. And I think that's the thing. Like, I need to find a game type that I like that also requires very little investment. But I think the problem is, for me, those are like antithetical things. Like,
hmm
I have to if I like something, it's probably because it requires a fair amount of investment. But yeah. Oh, I remember what it was. Star Wars Squadrons. That was the one
Oh
that I was
yeah.
playing. That was like it's really casual. You jump on, you play a couple
Oh,
matches, and then you're done. Like you just you walk away.
yeah.
Mhm.
Games that are like that have matches that you can play and
Yeah,
then leave. Or that's a
and
good example.
I
Huh.
I know I talk about this like every time this comes up. I talk about it. Like I'm not a big fan of like online PvP stuff, but I really liked the way that Star Wars Squadrons did it because it was mostly skill based. Like you didn't have to like there was no grind for um like better equipment and legendaries and things like that because so like it was all entirely player skill based. Like you could grind and unlock things, but they were mostly just things that gave
Hmm.
you more options for your loadout, not necessarily gave you better things. And they were things that you would already have unlocked by default on different ships. It's just a matter of like being able to mix and match your payload for different ships. And that was so fun because my biggest problem with a lot of like online competitive games is that you I don't have time or frankly the patience or inclination to grind for hours and hours and hours to get the very best legendary whatever, but somebody does, and I am
Mhm.
inevitably going to end up in a game with those people and just not have a good time.
Yeah.
And
They're gonna wreck it for everybody.
exactly. Like I don't have time to do that. I don't have the inclination to do that. I just want to enjoy the game, and but I'm inevitably going to end up paired up, put up against somebody who does have time to do that, and I'm not going to have a chance against them because I just don't put in the time that they do. And while that's kind of technically true with Squadrons, it's only true in the sense that more time in the game means more practice at the game. And that's very different than more time in the game equals bigger numbers.
Yeah, I like any game where the multiplayer aspect of it is dependent on gear found elsewhere in the game. I'm
Yeah.
like, count me the fuck out, dude.
It's like, this is a really fun game that I'm probably going to play for 2 weeks and never pick up again.
Yep. Cam makes a really good point. They said this is a big reason why I like Celeste. I can play for 10 to 15 minutes, or I can play for much, much longer as long as my hands can take it. But it's a very different genre than these precision
Mm.
platformer, and I can definitely see that. Like, I initially like when I was hearing about Celeste, it's like, oh, is it like another Metroidvania? And I was like, oh no, like precision platformer is kind of like an interesting, not like subset, but like maybe adjacent genre to those, because like the puzzles basically are these short, like essentially learning how to do a chain of moves to get through, and usually there's like more than one correct solution to do a lot of these things. Cam's been doing some really incredible like modded content, and from what I can see, it's about the same level as like if you're familiar with this, like Mario Maker levels, where it's like, okay, you just have to frame perfect jump off of Yoshi here, bounce off of a bunch of things, catch another Yoshi that's falling down from like from the sky in midair, then like jump off that Yoshi, bounce off these three things, also in frame perfect succession, and then you get to the end.
Hmm.
You know, like that kind of,
Yeah.
not necessarily that like torturous, but
Yeah.
it's been cool to see like the custom levels that people have
Yeah.
made. And I can also definitely see that being good for like bite-sized chunks
For
of game.
sure. Hessen, absolutely post that. I want to like in the post that in the Discord. I'd love to see it. But Ike, you're absolutely right. Uh, Ike said for real. And sometimes in squadrons, you might feel you're very skilled, and then meet someone using a ship in a way you wouldn't expect, and suddenly you have more learning to do. And yes, I love that. That was a thing that my favorite thing was the ability to sort of like mix and match your own payload to like create weird and unexpected combos. And like the only reason I was in any way good at that game is like I wasn't good at maneuvering away from my opponents. I wasn't great at shooting most of the time, but you know what I could do? I could always pick up a tail. So I learned to equip myself and equip the weird and like maneuverable ships with mines. So you can shoot at me if you want to, but I'm gonna be dropping mines on you. And like
Hmm.
that was just a great strategy. And I loved it. And they weren't expecting the little maneuverable ship to have to be dropping mines. So yeah. um, but yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a good shit. Scrolling up, catching up on things here. You know, Amity had a comment a while back that was, yeah, talking just about like when we were back on the topic of other stuff that I didn't want to let entirely go. But they said I think that may be why I have a hard time with video games in general. I don't know what I'm doing, so it's super frustrating when the game doesn't teach you how to play.
Yeah.
And yeah, like
I agree.
agreed.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've been talking. Oh, go ahead.
Oh no, I just wanted to go back to the same, like my example of Pillars of Eternity. I bounced off it because I didn't understand the game. I didn't understand the system. I didn't understand how to make a character or how to manage my skills and resources. So like, I bounced off the game. Like,
Rocket League looks very fun. You all enjoy. All of you who enjoy Rocket League, please have fun.
mm-hmm.
I'll be cheering you on from out here. Quite a few friends have tried to get me into that game, and I've had the same experience where I'm just like, I was like, oh yeah, you just have to do this, and I'm like, I can't.
Oh, just
I was top 50 on the Metroid Dread like
Mhm.
speed any percent speed run leaderboards, and I can't make my hands do what you just did. My brain does not work that way. Literally, me with Victoria 3, they gave me some basic info, but then it just goes in and you have to catch things and then spend 15 years in their wiki.
Oh no.
Yep.
The only wiki that I have, if I have to spend that long in the wiki, I'm like, it's not looking good for the amount of time that I'm going to play your game. Except unless your game is Stardew Valley. Then I will spend as much time as I need on your wiki. Stardew Valley is the exception.
Huh. Wow, I don't think I've done the wiki for many video games except, well, I don't think I've played it nearly that many, so doesn't really mean much. But when I did do it, it's because I played Skyrim for so many hours that I really wanted to like explore some different quests that might have taken me much longer to sort out if I didn't look it up. For instance, how you get like the pink gem appraised by one of the Thieves Guild members, and there's
Right.
like 20 some
Oh
odd number
God,
of them.
that would be so irritating to do without looking up the locations of them.
So I did that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, and I didn't. Yeah, and I got a vague idea, and I hunted for all of them and found a really cool quest at the end. So that's one of the examples of that for me.
Yeah.
The wiki for Skyrim.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Yep, Chan's Minecraft is definitely one of the ones that I spent a lot of time in. Lately, again,
definitely.
Pathfinder Kingmaker is another one because they're like, there are times when I'm like, am I bad at this game or is this a bug? And so, like, have I fully not paid attention to some obvious thing, or is this a bugged quest? And as it turns out, it was the former. I accidentally at some point stored a key that I needed to get through a door and forgot about it, and yeah. Mm-hmm.
Welcome, Bree, by the way. And she says, I apparently have way more patience than most people. I wiki like every game I play. And I'm like, I think, and I don't, I promise you this is not a roast. You play a lot of those like Stardew style like management games or a lot of those sort of things. And my experience has been that those types of games, especially if they're romanceable options, have very robust wikis. And like part of the reason that I really like the Minecraft and I really like the Stardew Valley wiki is that it doesn't feel like a chore to go look something up.
Yeah.
I can always find all of the information that I need pretty quickly, and it's all like linked to each other. And I don't feel like I have to go read. I don't feel, and with those games, I don't feel like I have to go read a wiki article to know what's going on. Period. I just feel like I can go read a wiki article real quick and supplement my gameplay.
Thanks.
Great.
Newly human said, gotta look up.
I was
Gotta
gonna
look up
say,
the wiki.
I feel called out. I feel completely called out because that is absolutely newly human. That is exactly why 90% of the time when I go to a game's wiki, that is the reason.
Guilty. Guilty as charged.
Oh gosh.
Bree says, I do also play a lot of indie farming or running around doing quest games, so wiki's very needed. Yeah, and I think, like I said, I think the wikis for that particular genre of games are always immaculate, which is very funny to me because that's absolutely something that makes sense for people who really like chore management games, is having a very neatly organized wiki.
Yeah. And that makes sense too, right? Like the more like complex and procedural a game is, like the core gameplay loop is, the more robust the wiki has to be.
Yeah, exactly. Avery said, I wanted the best ending with Krieg in Dream Daddy, so I totally wikied how to win the second date. Yeah, I've done that before.
Yeah.
There have been sometimes when I'm playing Monster Prom, I don't mind like just kind of bumbling my way through it. And if I get a date, I get a date. But then sometimes I'm like, oh no, I'm doing well. I definitely want to try and get a good ending with this character, and so I'll go look up some of the events and see what stats I needed and try and
It's interesting.
work my way
This
through
is this is not unrelated to something I was talking about with Cole the other day, which is like Mass Effect playthroughs. Now that I've played it enough times, like I know the exact way to get to the end with nobody except for the ones you can't change dying, right?
it.
Nobody except for like the story ones dying. And the unfortunate side effect of that is that if I playing that way, what ends up happening is I feel like at the end of the game I'm like I feel like this like it feels like nobody was ever in any actual danger. So now it feels like this was meaningless in some ways. It just doesn't carry the same impact when everyone who could survive did. And so like but then on the flip side, if I intentionally play it so that other characters die, like I can't do that. So now I can't play through the Mass Effect games anymore because I lose interest because I know I'm going to save everybody and everybody's going to be fine.
And so, like, you've removed the stakes for yourself by
Exactly.
accidentally memorizing the correct set of steps to arrive at the end without
Yeah.
anyone dying.
Well, I wouldn't say accidentally. I did it on purpose for sure, but like it's just it's just but like I in the end I played myself. It just sounds like my perfect control of every aspect of my life simulator.
Yeah, Nico said, I played through like 80% of the available content in Valheim a few months ago, and the experience was so much better because I specifically didn't look up anything in the wiki. And I think that's interesting because I think games like Valheim, it is almost better not to look at the wiki unless you really need to, right? And I think there's a difference here because Valheim is all about like, in that genre of game are a lot about exploration and discovering things on your own, and like death is kind of punishing, but like you can always you can adjust that kind of difficulty for yourself in certain ways. But I think like that's sort of the point of Valheim. So if you look up all of like the if you look things up about Valheim, you're probably gonna accidentally spoil yourself on stuff. And whereas, a lot of the times if you're looking up like, oh, I want to try and romance this person in Calico, in Stardew, in Coral Island, and I want to know where they are at 5 p.m. on Wednesdays. Going and looking up their schedule is like those are two different things, right? And I think it makes sense. I think to wiki one of those things, and I can definitely see like
I love
wikiing.
Sorry. No, I just you're absolutely right. I agree with you completely. I love in games like that. There's a thrill that comes with not knowing, because I think I've said before. I might have even said it here on Ramblemancy, but like there's the experience of a game where you're like, oh, I really want this particular type of thing that's going to fit with the build that I'm making for my character. So I'm gonna look up where to find this thing or how to build this thing or how to whatever, and then I'm going to go and I'm gonna go and get that thing, or I'm gonna find all the ingredients that I need to make this thing, and then I make that thing, and now I have that thing. And then there's the experience of like, I'm just gonna walk around head empty, laughing about everything weird that happens to me, just sort of bumbling my way through everything. Oh, look, what's in that cave over there? Let me go in. Why not? I'm here. You go in, you wander around, you have some like close calls, and you get to the end, and then you open a chest. You're like, oh shit, this is fucking sick. And like,
you're right.
one of those is an infinitely more rewarding experience for me. And so like, there is definitely merit to not looking things up in certain types of games. Like, I loved I loved playing Generation Zero, and I have actually weirdly been feeling like the pull to go back. They've got a
Same.
lot more content now too. There's a lot more
Oh,
stuff in there than when we last
let's
played.
do it.
Um, but
I'm into that.
but there was one thing, like when I learned that there were certain areas of the map that had just like yielded better equipment, it sort of ruined it just a little bit for me, because then I was like, well, now I know where to get the good equipment. I just go over there and then I'll find it. Like it's just, and I'll find more good stuff consistently. And I sort of wish
Mhm.
that they had like randomized it a little better, so
Hmm.
that you could, like, anywhere you went, you'd have a chance of finding something really cool. Um, so that was a little bit
Mm.
disappointing to me, but like otherwise, like my favorite thing about that game was just not knowing what anything was, what it did, where things were, and just sort of wandering. Um,
Mhm.
Hmm. I'm just a kid in Sweden with a hunting rifle, and I came back from a camping trip with my friends, and there's a bunch of giant robots
yeah.
everywhere, and that's a problem.
It's really spectacular. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah. Um, I feel
Well, I
like
guess we're playing that next.
there was something that I
I
was gonna
guess I'm
say.
installing that.
Something I was gonna say earlier, but then I got
Hmm.
distracted by this talk of wikis and looking stuff up. Um, nope, it's gone.
Very
There's
It's gone.
handy.
there's a reason why I have a
So
completely
handy.
different spoiler policy for games than I have for other more linear entertainment.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if I'm if I unless it was something that I was like really like invested in where I was like kind of trying to puzzle it out for myself, I am a person that does not care very much about spoilers for
Hmm.
series because if you tell me a spoiler and they're like, "Oh, that's going to be fucking wild to watch play out. Can't wait to watch that."
Hmm.
That's most of the time my response like, "Ooh, wow. That's going to be intense." And then I will still have the visceral emotional response
Mhm.
watching the movie, the show, the whatever, because sometimes it's even worse because I psych myself up for it then.
Hmm.
But with games, it's a little bit different where
Interesting.
like the
Oh,
point is for me to do it myself.
exactly. Not only that, but like as far as spoilers go on like series and especially series, like there might be I notoriously dislike watching series week to week. Well, some of them, but but like there will come a time watching when I'm in the middle of a season of something. I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna let a few episodes go by, so that then I'll like have several of them in a row to watch the next time I like come back to this. But then the thing that will always get me to start watching again, like right away, as soon as possible, is seeing like a spoiler from like an episode and going, "Oh shit, that's in it. That happens in this one. Okay, now I gotta go see that." Right?
No.
And like far from
Fair.
ruining it for me, what it does is it makes me just want to go see it more.
Yeah, it builds anticipation, builds
Mm-hmm.
excitement.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Um, it's it's like missing a week of The Mandalorian, and then I see like spoilers about it on my Twitter time. I'm like, oh shit!
Yeah, exactly. The Mandalorian is exactly what I had in mind. Also, most recently, Star Trek Picard. Um, I was about to give an example, and then I realized not everybody has the same will have the same thought about spoilers that I do, so I won't go into that because it's about this most
I need
recent
to
episode. But there was
I need to watch Picard.
let's put it this way: there I saw in like one of those like promo videos the return of a character that from one of the old shows, and I saw it and I was like, oh shit, I gotta know what this is about. I gotta see this, and yeah.
Nico has a very interesting hot take because I am on the record as fucking loving Andor so much, the recent Star Wars series, and that's kind of how they did it. Nico said, "Hot take: every show should be released in blocks of episodes that total up to 90 to 120 minutes," and I do like that idea, and
Hmm.
that is how Andor did it. They dropped their first three episodes, and those were about 2.5 hours total, I think. They were like 45 to an hour long episodes, and then like the way that the show was structured was basically like this kind of four-act structure with three episodes each, I think.
Mm.
um and so like they went to weekly release after that, and I think that was a mistake. I feel like they should have just aired it in like the three chunks of episodes. like released them together because that's how the show was structured. But it was really cool.
Yeah. I feel like Legend of Vox Machina has been doing that. They release in the 3 episode blocks, and I think that's very. I appreciate that. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
I was really into that.
Ooh.
I
Hmm.
especially when we're talking about an episode of a show that's like 30 or even
Yeah,
40 minutes,
I
25 to 40 minutes
refuse.
long.
One of the reasons why I fell off and never ended up finishing Brooklyn Nine-Nine is because the final season came out and it was like 30-minute episodes weekly, and I was like, I can't do this. I'm sorry. I don't want to wait 1 week to watch 30 minutes of television and then wait another week. Like, no, thank you. I don't.
Hmm.
I'll make the exception for like 45 minutes to an hour of a show, but like half an hour, I'm sorry. No, I'm not doing that. I'm going to
Yeah.
wait until it's all out and then I will watch it. And as it turns out, sometimes not I won't even watch it then.
And the way that I found more and more like I don't binge things all at once. The way that I wind up watching it, if I wind up watching something all at once, is I watch 2 or 3 episodes,
Yep.
and then I go to bed, and then I go about my day the next day, and then I sit down and I
Uh-huh.
watch 2 or 3 episodes, and then I'm busy the next day, so I don't watch any, and then the next day I watch 2 or 3 episodes.
Yeah. Oh, I said I saw a Bad Batch spoiler on TikTok that made me sad. You know what? The thing about the Bad Batch is from the moment I watched episode 1 of the Bad Batch when it first came out, immediately, and I John can corroborate this because the first thing I said about that show was, "This show is going to hurt me. I don't know how, I don't know when, but this show is going to hurt me."
You did say that. Yeah, you're like this show is gonna hurt me. It's gonna hurt me real bad.
Like I just have that sense when like a show is like, it's when it's just setting me up to be hurt at some point. I just know it. I just have a sense. And the Bad Batch is absolutely that, especially coming off the heels of the end of Clone Wars. Like with the ending of Clone Wars, which I won't talk about here because Cole is in the next room and hasn't seen it yet. We're currently watching it, so I won't say anything. Um, but like, especially with the ending of Clone Wars, coming off of that and then going directly into Bad Batch, I was like, yeah, this show's gonna hurt my feelings. I just know it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. God, that's how I felt going into Clone Wars, and not just because I had seen a bunch of it, and a lot of friends had told me it was very good. Like, also from watching it, I was like, nope, they're right. This show's gonna hurt my feelings.
Yep.
Hassan also talking about K dramas, which was a really pleasant experience. There was a period where I was keeping up with a few K dramas last summer, and that was a really cool thing that they would do, where they would release like multiple episodes a week, which was nice. I think a business proposal might have done that. Chance also says anime has traumatized me to feel that still watching Spy Family, every tense moment had me going, this is it. This is where I get hurt. And then it doesn't do that. Anime has hurt me. So, yeah, no. Listen, if you've watched a decent amount of anime, you get really used to them just doing really mean shit to you. Just things that hurt your feelings. And then you watch Spy Family and you are cleansed.
Yep.
You're purified.
Newly Human said, knowing that a show is going to emotionally destroy you is the best. I agree. Listen, that's how you know it's a good one.
God. Spy Family so many times. I have to rave about this show that I haven't even seen quite all of yet, but it walks like right up to it and it makes you think that it's going to do it, and then it walks it right back into just being like so very like, oh, things resolve in a very heartwarming way usually.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a very good reason that I think it's one of the more popular anime.
Yeah.
It's real good.
Yeah.
Brie, I forgot you haven't finished it. We have a lot of media that we need to finish watching, Brie. I need to subject you to The Return of the King at some point, and we need to finish watching Spy Family. We have to fix that. Listen, I'm going to on stream just propose that when we take our mandatory day off, it's just a media binge day.
Sometimes you just need those.
Like lay on couch, like go get nails done, lay on couch, watch Spy Family and Return of the King.
I thought you were gonna say like the healing spell, lay on hands.
You know, maybe that's what that is. That's the
The
version.
media is healing you when you need it.
Yep.
Return of the King though, like the full uncut version, the Mouth of Sauron. Oh yeah, that's all I'm gonna say. Creepy as hell. I love it. There's some other
Absolutely.
background stuff about like behind the scenes, but I forgot what it was about the actor who did that. But yeah,
Oh my god, I mean, it's not
yep,
not that.
Oh my god,
yep.
like that's honestly the paladin mood though. Like lay on hands is the paladin thing, and like paladins kind of have two directions. There's lay on hands and there's catch these hands.
You have two stats. No.
It's just a
Nice.
game. Like there is a game there. You have lay on hands and you have catch these hands. You're a group of paladins.
Full
Incredible.
group of paladins. Okay,
Oh my gosh.
this me.
Like I said, I haven't watched the Spy Family anime yet, but the manga definitely does that. It's very refreshing. I consume a lot of things that are designed to hurt me specifically. Yeah, I know you and Amethyst Cat Lady both. It's like your favorite kind of media. And listen, I love it when media hurts me sometimes, and sometimes I just need it to be nice to me.
Chans says with my partner him. What do we have to watch? Me, literally everything. I feel that because my partner has seen nothing, so we have a lot of catching up to do. I don't know I didn't hear what you said, but I assume it was protesting.
Again, lav mic for Cole. We just need him to click on, make fun of Lucas, and then click off again every so often. Channel point redeemed for hot take from Cole.
There you go. I think yes. I think so.
Bree says I'm too fragile to watch things that hurt me. Yeah, I feel that. Sometimes I am in the mood for it. But I have to choose. I have to choose that. I have to decide that that's what I'm going to watch.
Sometimes you need the emotional devastation just to know that you're alive. No.
It's the equivalent of like when you're a teenager listening to like really edgy rock music. You know, they're titled "The Crusade of Hands." The Crusade of Hands.
I listened to the Rolling Stones when I was a teenager. Get out of here. Maybe that's edgy in its own way, though. Actually, to be honest. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
They're very good shows and movies that I will learn about through friends. That's how I feel about it too. A lot of times I'm like, that sounds really cool, and I can't wait to hear about it from you.
Ike, how dare you come into this chat and I actually literally did just watch that again recently. So, and I don't know anybody who saw the media club on Patreon this week knows with Cole we've been going through Clone Wars sort of on a curated list to like essential episodes, and then later we'll go back and watch like the ones that weren't on the essential list. But like so we did the like Star Wars like 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and then we watched Clone Wars, and then we got to like right at the point in season 7 where episode 3 starts, and then we watched episode 3, and now we're back to the rest of season 7 of Clone Wars. And let me tell you, I had never watched Clone Wars and then immediately watched Revenge of the Sith, but boy does it just really serves to amp up the emotional punch of that movie. Like, it genuinely did it somehow, like, I think like Dave Filoni is brilliant because he retroactively enhanced the things that the actors and the writing and stage directing didn't quite accomplish in episode 3 retroactively through this animated show, and it's incredible. It is truly incredible. And like I had never watched Clone Wars and then Revenge of the Sith right one after the other, but it's very cool. It's very good,
Hmm.
and I highly recommend it. If you're a fan of media that hurts you, go watch Clone Wars and then watch Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
Um,
I also like, man, the Mandalorian. Like, I gotta say, all of Star Wars' serial content has been so fucking good.
I
Um,
agree. No misses
like,
so far, in my opinion.
yeah, and
I
like, honest, I will die on this hill at least today until they release an absolute banger that supplants it. But like, Andor is maybe the best piece of media that the Star Wars property has put out. It's fucking
I
incredible.
100% agree. Yeah,
Yeah.
and like, don't get
It,
me wrong, I I will say, I as somebody who enjoyed Obi-Wan Kenobi, I did really like it. It was pretty mid. It was pretty mid.
it was okay. There were a lot of really cool things that show did,
Absolutely.
and there was some
Mhm.
really like there was some definitely like meaningful, impactful moments in there, and like seeing the struggle of that character and the weight that he carried, really cool. But like Andor,
Yep.
um, I have watched that show 3 times now, and I don't do that a lot with
Yeah.
shows, at least not like within a very short period after they come out. Like I watched that show and then I watched it again, and then a couple months later, I was like, I need to watch Andor again. I did.
Yeah. No, 100%. Also, hello, Matt. Welcome. Welcome. Hello
Welcome,
there.
welcome.
Sorry. In the spirit of the
Hello there.
conversation.
Right.
Hello there. Um,
Hello there.
so, yeah, no, I'm, I, I made the mistake, unfortunately, with Andor that like I didn't watch it for a while because I went into Andor going like I am not interested in this. I don't care. I didn't like, I didn't like Rogue One. I don't really care about any of this. And then, but I was like, so I let quite a few episodes come out before I even started watching. And in fairness, I was also like in the middle of a move. So,
Yeah, you
uh,
were you were moving cross country, so like
yeah,
understandable.
yeah. So like, there's that, and then I was like, you know what? I'll give it a shot, and I watched the first 2 episodes, and that's all that. That's unfortunately all I had time for that first day,
Hmm.
which is, if you've seen it, you know that there's an inciting incident, and then literally nothing happens for 2 episodes.
Yep.
Like there's the inciting incident, nothing happens the entire rest of the first episode, nothing happens in the second episode, and then I had to go to bed. And I was like, ah, okay, whatever. And then the next day I was like, you know what? I guess before I make my final judgment, I will like watch another episode, and I'm so glad I made that choice
Hmm.
because episode 3 is when things just like start happening and then just do not stop the entire rest of the show.
Like have just it's so
Mm.
airtight. The script is amazing. The delivery by the actors, the like the directing, the score. Holy shit, I love the
Yeah.
music
Yeah.
so
There's
much.
okay, look, I've been I've we keep saying this periodically, but we do really need to like do a Star Wars at Ramblemancy again because like
Me
we the
too.
last one we did was years ago, so like there's so much more to talk about now.
It's
Yeah,
time. It's
that's
time.
true.
We gotta do a Star Wars. We gotta do a Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
episode.
Mm-hmm. Amity, I
Love seeing
agree.
you in Hayden. Hmm.
Yep, I absolutely agree, Amity. That's yes, it was very cool. Like I I have made no secret of the fact that I'm not a fan of Hayden Christensen's Anakin in the prequels. However, I do like seeing him come back to the role. I do like seeing him come back and getting to be in the Darth Vader suit and like, whatever. He
Yeah.
just seems like
Hmm.
such a like just a nice guy, just like whatever, and
The
I'm
actor's
happy to see
great.
it.
The writing wasn't
The
for
writing,
his.
yeah,
The story wasn't great.
yeah. And you know what?
Actor,
You know what
good.
though?
He's
You
fine.
know what I will say, and I saw this. Cole was the one that pointed it out to me this time around, where in the pre in Attack of the Clones, his line delivery is horrendous. It's just all really bad. He's a lot better in Revenge of the Sith. Like he genuinely improved significantly between those movies. So like I'll give him that too. So
Yeah, absolutely.
um, but yeah, it's all out. Yeah, just go through everything Star Wars chronologically and make it its own show.
Hmm.
Yes.
I love
Yeah.
that. Yeah. Uh, and yeah, I gotta acknowledge. I said Alexander Skarsgård's monologue is like. See, I'm fairly certain. I need to look what episode that comes from. That's episode 10.
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's episode 10.
And it's
Something I have no idea about.
not. I think you said the wrong Skarsgård.
Oh, did I?
I think
Okay.
so.
I may have.
It's
There's a lot of scars.
There's a lot of them. In fairness to you,
Yeah, that comes on the heels of I think One Way Out. Like
Stellan. Thank you.
Yeah,
Stellan.
Stellan Skarsgård.
Mhm.
That episode was incredible. Uh, it was just wild. Like that monologue following everything else that had happened in the prison with between Cassian and Kino Loy, the other character that we met in there. Like that, you come off the high of that, and then you go straight into one of the best monologues in the entire show.
Yeah, you get the like, wow, that was a dope monologue, and then the next episode, wow, that was a dope monologue.
Yeah. Anyway, if you haven't watched Andor yet, I highly recommend it.
Yeah.
So
I'm still stuck on episode 2. Sorry, I've not gotten into it yet. I've gotten stuck at the place that you were just talking about.
That truly is exactly the thing. Like that is,
Yep.
if anything is going to stop people from getting into Andor, I think it's that. It's the first 2 episodes.
yeah, like you have to watch the first 3 together, and then you're hooked.
Yeah. Yep.
I haven't even watched Mando season 1 yet. 150,000% worth it.
Mm-hmm. What are we chatting? We are. Hi, Danny. We are kind of chatting everything, but currently we're chatting Star Wars. So.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're doing a Star Wars.
3 episodes is always my minimum with shows. I agree, Chans. I think that's a solid way of, because if they don't get into something that pulls you in by the 3rd episode, then it's either going to be like a really, really slow burn, and I don't always have the patience for a slow burn,
Yeah.
or it's just not going to hook me. So I think I never thought about it before, but I think I'm the same way. 3 episodes, if in 3 episodes they don't give me something to latch onto, then I'm kind of like, okay, do I really want to put the time into seeing whether it's worth it or not? And yeah. That said, there have also been shows that didn't hook me in the first 3 episodes, and I kept watching them. And at the end of it, I'm like, well, I was right. I didn't care. And then I feel like an idiot. But it's
Nico said, I haven't watched any of the sequel trilogy movies to their end. That a sequel trilogy is in the most recent 3 films. I assume
think
that's
so.
the sequel trilogy.
Yeah.
I mean this in the least disparaging way possible. You don't really need to watch those to understand much of what's going on in any of the serial content. Most Mandalorian and Andor are both set basically in the time period. Andor is set immediately pre-rebellion, like it is the founding of the rebellion, and then Mandalorian is set post defeat of the Empire, pre-sequel trilogy.
I think it's 5 years post Empire, and then there's some time passage in there, so it's I think it's 5 to 8 post Empire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Somewhere, yeah.
And you're basically watching I think what is happening in the background of the Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett is basically we're watching what comes to be the First Order in the sequel trilogy that we're watching that come to be.
Yeah, my biggest, not that this is the time, we have only a few minutes left, and this is not the time to get into a discussion about the sequel trilogy. My biggest problem is that there was so much good stuff in those movies that just got no payoff. There was good stuff in there. There's some interesting world building that was done, and some really great cinematography, and it was just a lot of stuff that just sort of didn't like the groundwork was laid, but then they just didn't. They kind of pissed it away in the execution. You know, like there was good groundwork, and then it just kind of didn't
Yeah,
land.
I liked The Force Awakens, and then I wanted to like the next couple of movies, and they were okay.
Hmm.
I felt like, and
Well, the next movie was okay. The last one was Damage Control, and it felt like that. Like we were watching Damage Control the movie, and I was sorry.
yeah,
The third movie is
yeah.
just the third movie was we watched an entire movie of course correction, and
Yeah, they made a lot of weird choices on like the logistic sides of things too, where they're like, we're gonna have J.J. Abrams do this first one, and then we're gonna have Ryan Johnson do the second one, and I was like, well, Ryan Johnson's great, um, but I, why did we do this?
why did we not have a cohesive plan from beginning to end? Or if we
Why
did,
did we?
why did we abandon it halfway through?
We knew that we were going to make a trilogy of films. Why? How did we not? How did we not have the beginning, middle, and end already kind of plotted out?
Yeah, I don't know. It does make me sad though, because I really wanted to like those movies, and I thought there was a lot of good stuff in them, but then they just kind of took the good stuff and like focused on anything else.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah. Anyway, not a big J.J. Abrams fan, but I wish they would have stayed with one director. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
I'm also
Like
not a J.J. Abrams fan, so I hear you.
Yeah. I'm not suggesting that J.J. Abrams should have done the whole like three of them because I really like J.J. Abrams more. I was in the same boat where I'm like I just kind of wanted cohesion
Yeah,
across all three of the films.
yeah. It was like there is one thing that J.J. Abrams is good at, and that is making a satisfying ending, right? Like doing the like build up and whatever, and like you see all the things that you expect to happen, and he telegraphs all of those things, and then those things happen, and then they have payoff at the end, and that's what he's good at. That doesn't make the movies good. It does, however, trick you into thinking they are good movies because you saw everything you expected to see, and it just like felt satisfying because you're like, oh, this is the movie that I'm watching, and then it did that, and it happened the way that you expected it to happen, and it had the kind of nice little loose, like all the loose ends tied off at the end into a nice bow, and then you're like, I am satisfied because the thing that I expected to happen is what happened. And then if you don't think about it any more than that, you're like, that was a good movie. I like this J.J. Abrams guy. And then
And then you get home and you open your refrigerator and you go to get yourself a snack because you're home from the movies and you're like, what the fuck did I just watch?
like, wait a minute, that didn't make any goddamn sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's a refrigerator movie.
Yeah, exactly. Such a weird dork about mysteries being the best things ever, and that's why he leaves more questions than answered. He spoke about a present he received once when he was younger and never opened it because he like, what kind of weirdo nonsense is this?
That's so weird.
I didn't know that, but somehow it makes every movie of his I've ever watched worse.
Yeah.
I don't know how, but
I lost just a few degrees of respect and for them, and that is okay. That's wild.
Well, that sure is a piece of information I know now. I don't know.
Danny said The Force Awakens is the only Star Wars movie I've seen all the way through. Feel free to roast me for that. No, I'm not going to roast you for that. I think The Force Awakens was a fine movie. Like, as we've been talking about, it was an alright movie, and like I think what we said about it earlier, like kind of before as you were coming in, Danny, is that like there's a lot of good stuff in those movies. They just like the execution of that good stuff is lacking.
Yeah. There was they at some point forgot to give the main character an arc.
Mm-hmm.
And then the character that they gave an arc to at the end, they're like, just kidding, no we didn't.
Yeah, like, okay.
Like what I liked Finn. I wanted to see give Finn more things to do. Like,
No. Oh, damn. Okay.
no, we kind of forgot about Finn.
Great.
Why? He was one of the
Why?
most interesting characters in the movie. I loved
Yeah.
him.
He's
Why
great.
did they do him that way? It's terrible.
Yeah. And yeah. They sold the movie
Sorry,
with him
Finn.
holding a saber. Yes, exactly. Anyway, we don't have time.
This is for the.
We don't have the
bookmark
time
this for
or
the
the
Star
stress
Trek
balls
episode.
to discuss this.
I don't even have stress like anything like that. I don't have
Yeah.
anything like to. Oh wait a minute.
It's a shame the gym closes in 20 minutes, or I'd go climb this out. Like,
There you go,
This
Freeman.
is not for stress at all, but I'm gonna use it.
Fair enough.
what is it? Is that
Well,
it? Is it
it's
what is it for?
It's for like
Grip strength?
even like yep.
Oh,
You
hell
can
yeah.
use it for You can use it for. I'm using it right now for guitar.
Oh, cool.
Wrong hand,
Wow.
but yeah.
That makes sense.
So
Yeah.
like dexterity, strengthening fingers, yeah. But grip strength can work for that too.
Nice. All right. I think
Anyway,
with that, I think we are ready to go. We're gonna go. So thank you so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out with us tonight, chatting about all this stuff. We kind of covered a lot of ground tonight. We did a lot. We talked about a lot of
we're
things.
everywhere.
Yeah.
It was pretty smooth from one thing to the other, too. We started talking about video games and difficulty, and then we just kind of smoothly transitioned into talking about media.
Yeah. Yeah. So
time.
no, that was awesome. It's always good to like get this chance at the end of the week to sit down with all you and just talk about nerd shit.
I genuinely look forward to it every week.
Yeah. All right. We are gonna go. I'm gonna maybe eat some real food instead of these pretzels that are just sitting next to me. So yeah. Thanks so much, everybody, for coming and hanging out. We will see you next week for Ramblemancy. There is not a guest confirmed, but we'll let you know as the week goes on. So, but if not, we'll see you the next time you decide to come roll with us. Good night and good zone, everybody.